This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
Welcome to Beyond Earths, a Palladium Megaverse podcast. I am your host, DM Vince, and not sitting beside me is...
Steven playing Seran Allward.
This is Jacob playing the good Shep.
This is Geoff playing Victor Liam Brightwood.
Sarah playing Lady Astrid.
And Corey playing Nova.
All right, so today I have Steven sitting with me. We're going to be doing a little bit of a quick solo adventure for him because the party had left him a couple days behind now at this point. As things are going on in town, Seran was supposed to bury the bodies and head back. He was only a half a day behind them. And, well, unfortunately something happened. The horse came back and not with the woman that he had sent off back to his kingdom. So he got a little disturbed by that. So he wanted to find out what was going on. Meanwhile, the group didn't even notice you were gone. Like a day passed, so nobody noticed.
Yeah, did you say my horse, died of its wounds or something?
Oh, yes, the horse died. Correct. It managed to make its way back to you because the horse knows his master, and he just was like, when he fell down. What do you do?
I know the general direction that they went.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start running that direction. Not super run through the woods and impale yourself on a log run, but I'm double timing it.
All right. So you start running, and you kind of notice, you're like, You're looking around. It's dark, and it's rainy outside. And you're thinking to yourself, shouldn't it be daytime by now? Because you know you have your internal clock and everything. And I don't think they don't call it a clock back then. But, you have your internal time thing going in your head. And you're like, you figure it should be daytime. And
is it cloudy out, or?
You look up and you see it's very cloudy, very rainy, and it's dark. It's just like the sun never came out. It's just something that you observed when you were running. Probably you paid no attention to because you probably just I just did one of those and just kept running because you have more important things on your mind, maybe? You tell me.
Maybe. Well, yeah, noticing that I might assume that it's going to storm, so that might actually give me incentive to definitely keep running. Because who knows if I lose tracks or whatever.
It's just a light rain, but it's enough that you noticed it. And you're running, and you're kind of following the general direction of where your horse came from. And I'll say you run for a good 20 to 30 minutes before you have to actually stop and rest. And you see in the distance, you do see a small carriage with a person sitting on it heading towards you, not rushing towards you. It looks like a traveler. And he's just slowly heading towards you. Do you want to go greet him, or do you want to go hide, or?
I'll go greet them. I'll let them see me from a distance so they don't think I'm a bandit attacking them. And I'll stay kind of on the other side of the road and just kind of raise my hand kind of in a greeting situation.
Oh, okay, perfect. You gets a little closer. You see it's an older man, probably late 70s, maybe around the 80s. Really old. He's wearing, some robes, and he stops and he's like, yes, young man. What can I do for you? Do you need some food, or do you need some shelter?
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm actually trying to catch up to a companion of mine, a young woman, fairly pale, white hair. You haven't seen anybody of that description, have you?
He looks at you and kind of as if someone's trying to do a memory recall. You know that face those people make. Mm-hmm. And let me just roll here. And he's like, I do recall a woman dressed, well, I shouldn't say dressed, but she was white-haired and kind of pale-looking. I saw her a few hours ago up the road that way, but those are some dangerous territories that way. I don't know where she was going, but she sure was in a hurry.
Was she on horseback when you saw her?
Yes, she was on one horse. It was a beautiful horse, may I add. I think I've
And
seen.
you said he's riding in a carriage. Is he doing one or two horses himself?
Just one horse, him, and the carriage, and you could see he's got like you can gather some type of supplies back there. You're not sure exactly because there's a tarp over it, but you gather he's a supply merchant or something.
You look to be a merchant. Would you be in mind of making some quick gold?
Yeah, I'm a businessman. Please tell me your proposition.
I just want to rent you and your carriage for a little bit to take me at least where you saw the woman. I would think on the carriage it'd be faster than just running.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't know how much to charge. I mean, it's the first time someone's wanted to do that. How about 20 gold?
Fair. And I just kind of extend my hand to see if he'll let me, like, yeet myself up.
Oh, you mean up on the carriage? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he lets you.
All right. Then, yeah, I'll just ruffle through coin purse and hand him 20 gold.
He says, "Oh, thank you very much." And he says, "Feel free to help yourself to some of the bread and the fruit that I have on the barrel back there. I know you look like you might be hungry."
I appreciate your kindness. Thank you.
Yeah. So you basically have a little area you can sit behind him on this cart. It's not really covered that well, but it's enough that you can kind of stay out of the rain. Maybe like your feet and everything will get wet, but that's about it.
What is your name, good sir?
My name is Alistair.
Alistair.
Mm-hmm.
Comrades call me Seran.
Oh, well, good, Seran. Nice to meet you. Maybe you want to, dry off a little bit while you're back there, too. I mean, I might have some towels or something, or probably blankets. Blankets back there.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so if I remember correctly, she was traveling this way, so I will turn the horse around. Come on, Betty, let's go. You see, does that little noise, and the horse turns around, and he said, "I'm going to try taking her as fast as we can go, so, I don't want to ruin everything here, because this cart's a little rickety and old." And he starts taking off.
And I assume even going at this pace, it's still faster than just me running.
Well, yeah, with running, you'd have to stop every so often and rest for 5 to 10 minutes at least. Even someone in good shape still has to rest. So you travel for about, I don't know, we'll say about an hour or two. And he's like, "Okay, well, this is the area where I did see her last." He's like, "Well, there's a road here that splits off," and he's pointing to the area while you're looking over his shoulder from the back. He's like, "Now, if she took the road down to the east over here, she'd probably head towards the water, which would get her maybe a ship somewhere. I'm not sure, but there are some ship merchants over there that would gladly bring someone where they want for some coin. Now, if she took to the left, that'll bring her further into the land and go further east into the land, but it's really dangerous that way, and there are known bandits and cannibals out that way."
Of course. And I'm assuming from the east because I'm mountain-based, not ocean-based, so I'm just speculating that she would have gone that route just to get more towards our homeland.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah. All right, Alistair.
There is one small village. It's not really known too well to the Lord of the Lands. It's just come people with little couple huts together, and they kind of forage, and they've a little community thriving there. They're not bad people. They just don't want to be under the Emperor's iron fist, as they call it. So.
And they're not the cannibals, I assume.
Oh, no. They're good people. The cannibals are further along, past that village. Would you like me to bring you to that village?
Time, but
yeah.
Yeah, let's go there. And while we're traveling, I'm kind of curious how they defend themselves from the cannibals. Or the bandits.
Well, they are skilled fighters, is all I know. They're a bunch of young couples, and they're happy. So I don't know. Yes. Did you want to say something, or?
No, I was just agreeing with, like, when he said the village, like, knows how to defend itself. I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Okay,
An
so
armed militia would be better off than just, roaming wildlings.
very true. So he's like, all right, well, we'll go there. We'll be there in about a couple hours. I don't know. I really can't tell. It's been dark and raining all day.
Notice that. Is that typical of the weather here?
No. When you say that, he kind of looks at you strange. Because obviously you still have your hood on, so he hasn't really seen your full face. He kind of looks as though, are you a stranger to these areas?
I'm a traveler of sword to the sellsword.
I see. He said, all right, well, Mr. Sellsword Seran, why don't you relax and we'll be there in a little bit.
Again, I appreciate you.
He nods and continues along. Every once in a while you hear him talking, but you think he's talking to the horse, which, probably lonely travelers would do after a while of not seeing people.
Since he mentioned bandits and other potential dangers are in the area we're going, even though I'm technically resting, I am going to keep the occasional watch and eye out from the back of the carriage.
That's
see if I see anybody in the tree lines or any approaching riders or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, you can still do that while resting. I mean, it's pretty easy. You're just not fully just like lounging around. You're on alert, but you're resting your legs and stuff. I get it. So some time passes, and he's like, all right, Seran, we are here at the small village. And you peek out of the cart in the front, and you can see it's basically like 4 or 5 like little small village huts. And then there looks like to be a larger one, which you gathered to be like a meeting hall or something, or maybe like a gathering lodge or a food lodge. Nothing fancy.
Too small for a chieftain. Maybe a clan lives here? Family or...
I think it's a family, he says to you. I never really questioned it. I stop by every once in a while. We trade goods. We trade, some food, some stories, and then I go about my way. They're friendly.
So you've said. All right, Alistair, I think this is where we depart. I do appreciate you and your kindness. What is the name of the town that the main setting is?
For where?
Where the campaign's mostly, where we've dealt with, like...
Naskadag.
Naskadag.
Yeah.
If you head towards Naskadag, I have allies that would probably be interested in your wares, and a good merchant would probably make good money from them.
Oh, absolutely. I was heading there on my second trip, so I'll probably be there in a month.
If you see one in heavy armor that looks like an oaf,
yes,
he goes by the name of Lord Lee. You could probably get an extra gold or 2 from him if you know how to haggle.
He just smiles at you. He goes, I've been doing this for a long time.
Safe travels. And I hop off the carriage and make my way towards the village.
Okay. And he smiles and he waves to you as you leave, turns the cart around, and happily goes upon his way with his 20 gold.
I left him an extra 5 in the back of the cart.
Which he'll eventually find and be like, oh, that's Seran. All right, so you approach the village. So is it just you just kind of walk up as a traveler, or you cautiously approach, or?
In all honesty, I trust Alistair, but I don't trust a village that I was just told knows how to defend itself. So I'm not... I want to say I'm approaching cautiously to see if I see any, archers or anything like that. But I am letting myself kind of be known. My presence isn't exactly hidden. I'm not stealthing.
Okay.
But I'm not walking up hey guys.
All right. So when you reach the village area, as you're walking upon it cautiously, you immediately see a young man, probably 20s, around there, immediately has a bow trained on you have an arrow trained on you. Halt! Do you stop or do you continue walking?
I do stop.
Declare
Are
your
you the
purpose.
I'm a traveler looking for a companion that may have gone this way.
He kind of looks at you and looks you up and down. Uh-huh. He says, all right, well, come a little closer so we can see you. He lowers the bow as a sign of faith.
All right, and I do have my hands kind of to my side, like nowhere near my sword or bow, just, walking hands open.
Mhm.
The merchant Alistair is the one who brought me here, if you're familiar with him.
Yes, we quite, yes, he's a wonderful person. We like him very much. What is your name, friend?
My companions call me Seran. I'm actually looking for a young woman. Very pale skin, white of hair.
She did pass through here.
How long ago?
He kind of looks up at the sky and then goes, I don't know at this point. It's been dark and raining. I would say a good couple hours at least.
It may have delayed her. Few hours.
I did see a wild horse running at one point today as well. It's a beautiful looking horse.
You don't say. Speaking of horses, do you have any yourselves that I might be able to purchase, at least, or even rent, if possible, if I make my way back through here?
He says, I don't know you, sir, and this is a family-run place, so unfortunately everything we have is what we use. I mean, you could try to bargain if you wanna.
What is your name, if I may ask?
Toonie.
Toonie.
Yes.
I trust that you're not a bandit, so if I leave a considerable amount of gold with you, would that be trust enough to lend me a horse? If I do not return, you have more than the wealth of the beast. But if I do return, you give back what you feel is a reasonable sum.
He looks at you, he says gold is no value here. We are bartering goods here only.
What about means of defense for your village?
What could you offer us? I mean, we have swords and we have bows and we have arrows and,
Do you have any weapons against magical foes or beasts?
That we would not. No.
If I may, and I reach into my belt and I do pull out a rather unique looking throwing weapon and I hold it up to my hand and I'm like,
he does pull the bow back up when you do that because he gets a little scared.
Now, yeah, this is called a shuriken.
I've seen them.
With a magic word, you can actually engulf it in flames, and when you throw it at your foe, it sets them ablaze.
You see both his eyebrows go up, kind of like a, wow. He says,
it's
all right.
reusable, but you do have to retrieve it from your foe. Just bear that in mind.
I see. He says, I would be willing to give you our fastest, sturdiest horse if for a trade for that item.
Deal is met then. I'll tell you the magic word upon receiving the horse.
He says, come. He waves you over. And he puts the arrow back in his quiver.
All right. I'll follow Tuli, you said his name was?
Toonie.
Toonie.
Yeah. Random generators. So he brings you, as you're walking, you see, various people. Everybody in this little, I guess, conglomerate or whatever you want to call it, they're very young. Like, you don't see anybody that would be like an elder or an older person. Everybody relatively looks in their 20s, maybe 30s for a human.
I don't see any elders around here. Are they kept in a separate hut?
No, we don't have any elders. We are a bunch of couples that have formed a family here together to forge a new life together. We will grow old and build our own village, become our own elders. We don't subscribe to the Emperor's way of thinking.
As a traveler, I'm not too familiar with this Emperor, so to each thy own, I say.
When you say that, he kind of looks you up and down, kind of tries to peer under your hood, but, you kind of look down. Because I think that's what you told me you do all the time, look down when people start to look at you too much.
Yeah, my hood basically covers my face for the most part, or it definitely covers my ears.
Yeah.
I think at one point my character had a mask, but I kind of dismissed that.
Oh, yeah, okay. That would be a little bit... look too much like a bandit if you did that.
Right. I think when I joined the Heroes Guild and got companions, I forewent the mask.
Yeah. All right, so then he leads you. You see some women, you see some children, you see a bunch of people that are heavily armed as well walking around. There's not a lot of people, but it's enough that you kind of go, they really can defend themselves.
What is the name of this village?
It's to be decided because I never named it. Just Toonyville, we'll just call it for now. It's off the map. We don't wish anybody to know about it. So when you do leave here with the horse, I appreciate if you don't tell anybody where it is.
I know how to keep a secret. I promise you that.
Thank you. And he says, don't mind all the heavily armed people. Obviously we have to have guards to protect our people and our women, so.
Understood.
He brings you to the barn and he says, here is our fastest, most sturdiest horse. And you see it's a black horse, and you look the horse over. I think you probably have horsemanship or something.
As a paladin, what are my skills? Oh, yeah, it actually says go read page 23. Let me pull that up.
It's fine. As a paladin, you would know. So you kind of look over the horse, you check the hooves, you check his teeth, things like that, and you're like, yeah, he wasn't lying. It's a nice, firm, sturdy horse. Riding horse, nothing else. Not like a war horse or anything.
All right.
And he says, here's a
male or
saddle.
female?
And, what would you prefer?
I think the female horses are actually... No, male horses are faster. Yeah, male horse.
Then it's a male horse.
All right.
And he's hands you a saddle for the horse.
I expertly start putting it on.
He watches you and he, you know your stuff about horses.
Yeah.
He says, and your end of the bargain?
I walk over to him,
Uh-huh.
and if he has his hand extended, I'll place the shuriken in his hand.
Uh-huh. He does.
And I let go of it as I say the word. I want to make sure that's clear that that's exactly what I did. If you say the word purification, it will be set ablaze, and when you throw it at your foe, it will also burn them considerably.
Interesting.
You can test it if you want and throw it at, and I just point at some random barrel or something.
So he looks at the barrel and he throws it. He says, purification. And the shuriken just goes thunk right into the barrel and does not light on fire.
You're supposed to say the word when you're still holding it, then throw it.
Oh, okay. He retrieves it, and he goes, purification. And he throws it, and it just punk right into the barrel. No fire.
I'm very confused because I know that's exactly how it activates. I even wrote it down in notes because I remember we had a fuss with this.
It's actually purify.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wrote purification because...
Yeah, that's Corey. That's because Corey for the longest time was saying purification, and it wasn't working, and he didn't realize it, and he kept insisting that was what the word was, so everybody wrote that down, and I wasn't going to say anything. And then Sarah came in and corrected everybody.
I guess I missed that session because, I remember it worked for me when I've used it before, so can we just retcon and I'll say purify? It slipped my mind. I'm sorry.
We'll say
purify.
We'll say it's purify. It's fine. I mean, it was just funny because I was wondering which word you were going to say. Because the longest time he was pushing in the notes. That. Yeah, because he pushed that. I wasn't going to say anything. All right, we say, he goes, oh, okay, I have to say it while it's in my hand. Got it. Then he goes, purify, and then boom, and then now the barrel's on fire. And he's like, oh no, and he puts the fire out. He said, excellent.
Remind me, was there a set amount of charges per day on it? Because I know it doesn't really run out, but I don't think it's infinite.
It's not infinite. There is a set number of charges. I just never told y'all how many charges there were.
All right. Like I said, with being a magic item, it may not be of infinite uses, but really you only should need it once.
This is quite powerful, and I thank you, and our village thanks you.
I'll return the horse. Can you point me in the direction that the woman went?
Absolutely. actually walks with you to the edge of the village, the other side, that is. And he says, if you travel down that way, and he points to further east, you should find her trail. Hopefully she didn't run into the bandits or the cannibals.
Let's pray. And then I yeet the horse, like, yeah, and
Boom.
take off.
Seran takes off. You travel for quite some time, and in the distance you could see smoke rising in the air. And based on your knowledge of traveling and everything, you know that it's some type of encampment site or campsite that would probably be like a campfire or something.
All right. At about a safe distance from the campfire, like, this is woods, right? Or is it kind of plains?
It's woodsy. Well, actually, no, this is a plains area. I forgot. This whole area is all plains. There are some woods-like areas, so you can kind of go in there, but there's not a lot.
One that's probably the closest, I do want to tie the horse maybe to a tree or something and leave a little bit of water, and I'll whisper in its ear, in Elvish of all things, stay here, fight if anything comes for you other than me. So I give it like enough slack on the reins that it can rear up if need be.
The horse just looks at you.
I know, this is just old habits from speaking with my own horse.
Yeah, okay. There you have it.
Yeah, there we go. And now I do go back into my stealth skills and see if I can come across this camp and see what I see.
Okay.
Now I'm looking at my skills. Prowl. There we are.
There you are. So you're going to prowl up on the encampment. Okay.
Yeah. I've been warned numerous times that there are bandits and or cannibals here. So.
Okay, so let me get the map for you. So where the red X is, it's kind of where you're coming upon.
Okay, so it's a pretty decent sized encampment, actually.
Uh-huh. You notice that it's in kind of a mountainside, so the higher up it goes, you can't really see up there based on where you're at. But you do see people walking up on those wooden things, like they're guards. And the closer you get to the encampment when you're sneaking up, the more of a foul smell you kind of smell. Hard to explain. But you just
like rotting meat or...
Yes. Or cooking meat.
Cooked meats usually smells good, but you say this smells foul?
Well, I mean, have you ever smelled a person burn? They don't normally smell good.
I don't know the description, but I would assume meat is meat.
Well, it's not making
It's
you
not
go,
a familiar smell, I'll say that.
Yeah, it's not familiar. Most of the people are walking around. They have little to no armor on, and they're kind of pale-skinned. They have black markings on their faces that you could see. I will say on the lower levels, on those little campsites there, little fire things, that you do see a bunch of them sitting around there. And
Do I understand their language if I can hear them?
Let's see here. How close are you going to get? So just kind of give me an idea based on the map you see there where you're going to go.
All right, so far, if I'm at the X and
Mhm.
I'm just observing this from the hill, seeing them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could see in that little first level there over the wall, because you're up a little bit higher in those little mountains there.
do the mountains, like the middle tier, have any cave entrances, it looks like, or is it just one large stairwell leading up onto the plateau?
It looks like one large stairwell leading upwards.
All right, so there's no huts or anything in those flat areas in the second tier?
Not
Not that I can see.
Not that you can see. Obviously, you can't. You can see there isn't, but you can't see because it's too high up.
Okay, because I'm looking for specifically where I'm at right now if I can see any kennels or pens or anything where prisoners might be held.
From where you're sitting, you could see, say, you see the first 2 huts on the left by the little fire pit there. Right behind the fire pit, you do see a cage, and you do see people in the cage.
Okay.
But nobody that looks like Alma. There are a lot of people in this encampment. You see, as you're observing, you can see people walking on the outer edges, back and forth. On all levels, you'll see people walking, including the top. You can actually see somebody's head at the very top of one of the walls as he's walking around.
Okay, so this is an encampment of sorts.
Yeah, you gather from the smell, the way they look, and the way they kind of act, because they're not very civilized, that they're probably cannibals. The fact that they have people in cages.
And it's dark and rainy still?
Yes.
Alright, I wear dark clothing, so this should make a little easier for me to get closer to the camp. So my intention, and I'll try and describe it as I go, but just so you kind of get a ballpark of my intent here, is to probably go along the waterway here and remain hidden from any observers, and maybe sneak to right below the second tier where the river and that gate meet. Because I'm assuming I see the gate, you said, by that, or the cage by that bigger hut to the left, right?
You do, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go up past those 3 trees to the left, like directly north, and then go directly east from there and cross the narrow strip of the water and get to that gate there and see if I can somehow get over that. This is just my intention.
Yeah, that's a wall, not a gate, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, well, I assumed it's like a gate made out of what? Strapped together logs, sharpened sticks, maybe the occasional rock or something.
Believe it or not, that wood behind it is actually a platform that someone would stand on and walk. It tripped me up at first looking at it because of the way it's drawn, because it looks like logs straight down, but it's actually a platform. If you look at other spots, you can see like the pillars underneath it.
Okay, so the circle things are actually the wall, but the wooden planks next to it is the actual walkway around it.
If you kind of zoom in and look, you could see like the pillars holding them up. It kind of tripped me out too, the way they drew this, but
okay,
it's supposed to be a walkway for people like patrols to walk by.
Well, I want to get there anyway to see if maybe I can find a gap or somehow scale that wall initially.
All right, so go ahead and give me some prowl rolls.
Helps if I actually rolled a d10. All right, that is a 32 out of 39, so that hopefully succeeds.
All right, so you make it past the first 3 trees and you cross over the river silently enough to get to the wall. The wall is probably about, I want to say 15 feet maybe.
Okay.
It's enough to keep people out, but people obviously could scale a 15-foot wall, so.
And with my back to the wall and listening, do I hear any chatter now that I'm closer?
Yeah, you do. It sounds like it would be like a common tongue, but it's broken up, so it's kind of weird.
So it's like I'm listening to somebody from the bayou.
Kind of. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Or somebody from Brooklyn, I don't know. But, you hear words that you're familiar, and other words you're just like, what? You suspect that they're using a crude form of English, or a crude form of Common. You're talking, you're listening to them, and and then you hear them mention woman in white. And they can't wait to get their portion.
I see. Hearing this, are they directly above me, or are they...
They're walking back and forth. There's 2 guards on that little walkway there. They're kind of walking back and forth and talking. That's how you heard them. And as when they come back a second time back around, because you see their walk, they come on one end, back to the other end. You hear them say, "Oh, I can't wait for our big celebration tomorrow night." Well, that's 2 nights. 2 nights away.
How far is it from here to the main village where my companions are?
It's going to be at least if you take the horse full blast, it's going to be like a day's ride. Straight ride, no resting. Day's ride. At this point.
That really doesn't give a lot of time to do the rescue and convince them to come help.
Yeah, you'd have to rush. You'd have to rush straight back. No, let's make it 3 days. That gives you enough time to get back, convince them, and get back here and kind of plan. I'll be fair about it. 3 days. It makes no sense because how are you going to leave? But you basically have confirmed that she is here somewhere amongst one of the cages, possibly. You stay and observe for a little while longer, I'm assuming, or you go back to your X mark over there?
Do I see any weaknesses in the gate? Or in the wall, as it were?
I mean, yeah, the wall is not that greatly put together. You look at it and say, this is pretty shitty looking.
If I look through that, do I see like the big hut and the cage itself where all those people are?
Yeah. You could easily, I would say it's probably like as much as a thumbnail. You can see through it. It's enough that you can peer through and see people, see the huts and everything.
How do they look?
Like I described before. They don't have any armor on. They basically have like maybe some leather pants or leather.
I meant the prisoners.
Oh, the prisoners, they all are passed out or sitting there crying or frightened. But you don't see Alma in there. You suspect that she's probably somewhere else because you do see another cage across far, far in the distance, because you can now, since you're peering in through the fence, you can see more things across the way. You see more huts. And you see the steps heading up, but you see another cage over there as well. Maybe she's in that cage, you're not sure. But it's up. You see that big hut out of the 3 there, the bigger one that's in the middle? Right to its left where there's another cage.
Let's see. All right, Seran, like very, very under his breath, says, "Spirits be kind." And yeah, I do make my way back to the X because I have to get back to the village and get allies, because a part of me wants to raid this whole encampment, but I'm also not certain of the threat, and they may attack the hostages, so I can't be everywhere at once.
And probably, even though you're a skilled fighter, have armor, have great weapons, you probably be overwhelmed with the numbers by just you one versus... You've already counted at least 6.
Oh, I could take on 6.
But the way this is set up, you know there's going to be more than 6.
Yeah, this looks like a cannibal village, basically.
Uh-huh.
All right, then yeah, I'm going to make my way back to the Black Stallion.
You make your way back, you see the horses just kind of chilling, eating some grass. Looks at you as you approach.
My new friend, we have a bit of a journey to go on. I need you as strong as you can and to ride as swift as the wind.
Okay. You look at the horse.
All right, Scooby. Yeah, I untie the reins, hop back on his back, and I make it as quickly back as I can to my companions in the village.
Alrighty then, that's where we're going to leave this off. I'm Vince, not sitting with
Stephen playing Seran Allwood.
It's Jacob playing the Good Shepherd.
Geoff playing Victor Liam Brightwood.
Era playing Lady Astrid.
Corey playing Nova.
Good night. You've been listening to the Palladium Megaverse podcast. This podcast is Palladium Fantasy 1E. The Megaverse is copyright and trademarked by PalladiumBooks.com. For more information on their products, please go to their website. If you'd like to help support this website, please go to RollHigherDie.com. Thank you.